Good morning, everybody, and welcome to today's episode of That Crypto Show. My name is Dirk Hartig, and I have the honor of being your host today. In today's show, we are going to talk about the state of the crypto market. Is Bitcoin finally going to break out of the trading zone between 44 and 47,000 US dollars, or are we inbound to continue within this zone? In the second part, we are going to talk a little bit about more traditional assets. We want to have a look at China and the brewing real estate crisis, the potentially brewing real estate crisis there, and its effects on the US dollar, precious metals such as gold and silver. And of course, we also want to discuss if it's going to have an impact, potential impact on the prices of cryptocurrencies. Before we start, please remember, leave us a like if you do like this show, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment. What are your thoughts about Chinese real estate? What are your thoughts about the current state of the crypto market? All right. So, like I mentioned yesterday already, since we dropped in last week's flash crash from 53,000 to 42,000, we have established this trading zone between 44,000 US dollars and 47,000 US dollars. And yesterday, late afternoon, Bitcoin attempted a little bit to break out of this zone, then came a little bit back again. Now it seems like we're going to make another attack. So we gotta see how this plays out. I wouldn't be surprised if we deny the zone first again, go a little bit back to the region of 45 and a half or 46,000 US dollars in order to make a new attack then again. But by the end of the day, only time will show. So we gotta be a little bit patient here and see how that plays out. Remember, that we are a little bit in between at the moment. We are back to a neutral sentiment. So yesterday we were in a sentiment of fear there still, and now we are back into a neutral sentiment. So, and this really shows how tall the market is. First of all, with just a couple of percent in change in the Bitcoin price, the sentiment changes almost by 20 digits. And this is also not in line. So short-term investors who are more on the bearish side at the moment are also not in line with more long-term investors who use these prices to scoop up coins again. And we see this very well by the declining number of coins that are currently held by investors on cryptocurrency exchanges. So yeah, it's a really exciting time. I wonder how this is going to play out. Should we see really a move to the upside this week? This, in my opinion, would be a very, very strong and bullish sign for an early breakout and potentially a beautiful October to follow there in terms of prices. On a completely other note, some of you might have seen this on the news. The Chinese property giant Evergrande warns that it could default on its enormous debt. So Evergrande, being a Chinese real estate developer, one of the largest one, if not the largest, I'm not so sure about this at the moment, they have accumulated 300 billion US dollars in liabilities. And imagine this number, 300 billion US dollars. And this is quite something because it's, first of all, it's like 1/3 of the market cap of Bitcoin. And they are excused by some market participants out there that they are running a Ponzi scheme, meaning they use the money of new investors to pay out old investors. And they are promising something like 20% return per year to new investors. So I mean, this is quite something, even for the real estate markets, being able to pay out 20%. And a Ponzi scheme means that they, like I said, they use the money of new investors to pay out the interest for old investors, but nothing in the background really gets done. And this leads to the situation that you need more and more new money, more and more fresh money to pay out your old investors until one day when the scheme collapses finally. And I stumbled upon a post here on Reddit. Now, of course, as a source of news, always, be a little bit careful with Reddit. But somebody who goes by the name Long John Silver that claims he has been working in China for 10 years until pre-COVID. And he was seeing what was going on there. And especially he's talking about like an apartment complex where he was one of the only residents where a tiny apartment cost 200,000 US dollars, and the company said it would pay out 20% in interest on this apartment per year. And there was a restaurant there with a buffet where it was able to seat 500 people, but it was completely empty. So there is something going on. And if this, let's call it maybe a real estate bubble, if this Ponzi scheme where probably other real estate companies, developers are involved as well, not just Evergrande, is going to collapse, it's definitely going to have effects on the market, because everything is connected there, of course. And one of the effects we're going to see, should this be the case, is an extreme risk-off scenario. So institutional investors, when it comes to financial markets, always think in risk-on and risk-off. A risk-on scenario would be that they are looking for risky assets for higher yields, one of those assets, for example, being stocks. A risk-off scenario would be that they look for safe haven investments, and that would be the US dollar. So if this really comes true, and I have Euro US dollar, a daily chart here, we probably would see something like the US dollar approaching the parity to the euro again. Remember, a declining chart here, Euro US dollar, means that the US dollar is becoming more and more worth in comparison to the euro. It also would mean for precious metals, and especially that is silver and gold. So this is a gold chart. I wouldn't be surprised to see prices then north of 2,000 US dollars rather quickly again. Same goes for silver. Probably we would attack and exceed this zone of 30 US dollars again. And in rather quick and volatile moves, I'm sure. Now, that doesn't mean necessarily that it's going to happen anytime soon. It also doesn't going to mean that it's going to happen at all, because we are talking about China here, and it's notoriously difficult to get reliable economic numbers from China. And so take this with a grain of salt. And I'm talking about this here because it, of course, in my opinion, would also have an effect on Bitcoin. And Bitcoin is by institutional investors still perceived as a risky asset. That means if we enter this extreme risk-off scenario, we definitely would see Bitcoin also collapse, like we saw it also when COVID first hit, and we went down to, what was that, almost 3,000 US dollars. I don't really remember, honestly speaking. So have that in the back of your mind. As I said, doesn't mean that it's going to happen anytime soon. But if it happens, well, then you know the effects we probably would see on the market. So maybe in your daily research, have a look at Evergrande and what is going on there in China. That's it already for today. Thank you for your attention. We are going to see each other again tomorrow morning for the next episode and this week's last episode of That Crypto Show. Leave us a like, leave us a subscription, and please comment on what you are thinking about the state of the real estate market in China, and if it's going to really affect the cryptocurrencies as well. I'm really nosy to hear your opinion about that. Until then, always remember to use a stop loss and stay safe. See you again tomorrow. Bye-bye.